Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 5, Meakashi. So last time, Shion started her, it's how to say this, mission? Not mission, but yeah, she started being Mion, right? Pretending to be Mion. Again, but for this time, it's gonna be much more, in a much bigger scale, right? Pretending to everyone. Started with Keiichi, messing with him. And then I guess in today's episode, yeah, we're gonna go to the meeting with the other families. And I guess the one with Kimiyoshi is gonna happen this time, right? So let us continue and yeah, let's see what happens. Did Kimiyoshi reach the meeting? I actually forgot that. Okay, the hag's motorcycle had become my primary means of transportation. My next stop was the staff meeting at the Furude Shrine's assembly hall. It was easy to imagine how a normal meeting would play out if it were just celebrating the end of the Watanagashi. But today's staff meeting was likely going to be strained as the Sonozaki family councils. Yes, this staff meeting was going to deal with the heart of Hinamizawa. I couldn't let my guard down even for a moment. I rested for a while at the house, then left for the meeting. I walked up the long stairs to the Furude Shrine. At the top, I saw some elderly men smoking in front of the hall. Since they had a minor fire a long time ago, it had been made into a non-smoking area.
Mion-chan kai?
Okay, so he reached this place still. Okay. The head of the Kimiyoshi family, Uncle Kimiyoshi, noticed me and waved. He must have not expected Mion to come alone. Normally, it would have been either the hag by herself or Mion tagging along as an assistant.
バッチャは夕べのあれ以来機嫌を相当悪くしちゃいまして、誰も近づけず布団にこもりきりです。
They all understood how troublesome she was when in a bad mood. They smiled bitterly and in sympathy.
じゃあ今日はミオンちゃんが園崎家当主代行ということでいいね。お嬢さんから話とか聞いてる？
一応。
What did he mean? Has Oryo-san told you anything? That line by itself didn't really explain much. The staff meeting was usually led by the mayor, the head of the Kimiyoshi family. And he asked me as a substitute of the Sonozaki family head if I'd heard anything from her. Then I realized who was supposed to lead today's staff meeting.
おじじゃなくて、君吉さん、今日の会合だけど司会私じゃないと。
According to the ranking order of the family councils, any substitute for the Sonozaki family head is above the Kimiyoshi's family head. In other words, I have to lead today's meeting. There was no way I could do that.
大丈夫。おじいちゃんがやるから。
Okay, so he's the one who's gonna do it.
ミオンちゃんは座ってればいいよ。お嬢さんから聞いてる話があったら話してくれればいいからね。
村長、そろそろ始めますかいね。全員揃いましたね。
The smokers put out their cigarettes and then went back into the hall. The tables were set in a horseshoe shape and I was told I was to sit next to the chair reserved for the chief. The seat opposite mine was empty. Concerning its location, it was probably for the Furude family head, Rika Furude. But somebody had said earlier that everybody was already there, or here. Either Rika-chama had called in absent or the empty seat was just a formality. Knowing the subject of this meeting, I don't think the Furude family head would even want to attend. Even if Rika-chama actually attended, she wouldn't be able to say anything. All she'd usually do at the Sonozaki family councils was draw pictures on a notepad. She would probably end up drawing pictures in this meeting too. Besides, they probably didn't want her to hear anything unpleasant. In this way, the empty Furude family seat was easily explained. When everyone was seated, the head of the Women's Association served tea. She gave me an evil look, trying to tell me to help out, so I got up and did so. After that, everyone felt quiet and the secretary stood up.
それでは皆さん、本日は大変お忙しい中、 緊急にお集まりいただきまして誠にお疲れ様です。それでは初めに村長さんからご挨拶をいただきます。村長、どうぞ。
座ったままで失礼します。ケンちゃんも座ったままでいいよ。
ケンちゃん。
今日は平日の夕方にお集まりいただきまして誠にありがとうございました。また昨日は綿流しを本当にお疲れ様でございました。おかげさまで本年も事故もなく大変な盛況のうちに終了させることができました。祭りにも村中から大勢がいらっしゃり、本当に素晴らしい祭りになったものと思うとります。来たの何人だっけ？大本営発表だと5000人だそうです。
5,000? Wait, who's laughing? Everyone laughed except me.
今後もますますの文化の向上のために一丸となって頑張ってまいりたいと思います。よろしくお願いいたします。
Everybody claps. An applause with only 8 people doesn't sound so great.
それでは引き続き議事の方に入ってまいりたいと思います。本日の議事を君吉村長さんにお願いしようと思います。承認していただける方は拍手でご承認願います。ありがとうございます。それではただいま万座でのご承認をいただきましたんで、君吉村長さんに司会を譲りたいと思います。よろしくお願いします。
どうもケンちゃんお疲れ様。では司会を引き継ぎましたので本日の議事に入りたいと思います。申し訳ない。カーテン閉めましょうかね。
Everyone closed the curtains nearest to them. The sun was still up, but with all the curtains closed, the room became very dark. The village chief explained the details of the incident as well as what went on with the police. A police vehicle discovered Tomitaki-san's body on its way back to Okonomiya last night. Oishi's special curse unit was standing by, expecting something to happen for the 5th time, so they responded quickly. Since Tomitaki-san and Takano-san were rarely apart, Oishi got in touch with the neighboring prefectural police departments and asked them to look for her. As a result, they found a burned body of a woman in the mountains of the Gifu prefecture, and the body was identified as Mio Takano. Considering the circumstances, the police ended up labeling the incident as the 5th series of mysterious deaths. When he finished, there was dead silence. I watched to see who would speak first. Nobody said a thing. Then I noticed Kimiyoshi-san looking at me. Ah. This was where the head of the Sonozaki family would speak.
Mion-chan, お嬢さんは何か言ってたかい?
Everybody looked in my direction. I was sure they could see the hag in me.
園崎家当主代行園崎ミオンです。本日は当主お寮に代わりまして出席させていただきました。よろしくお願いいたします。
I became Mion. I tried to become as cold and unfeeling as the Mion I witnessed a year ago. The cold version of Mion was inside of me. That was me. I was her.
不幸にしてお社様のお怒りは5年目にも下されることになりました。大変悲しいことです。
Everyone was held captive by my words. I wasn't a little girl anymore. The hag was speaking through my mouth. They all heard me and trembled in fear.
どうして今年もたたりがあったかわかる方はいますか？
After my question, everyone whispered to each other.
そう。西宮殿の金を犯し、土足で聖域を踏み荒らして汚れを持ち込んだからです。
何いうことだ。
A few elderly men got up and yelled.
アホンタレが。信じられん小僧どもだ。
腹渡引き裂いても飽きたりんガキとむじゃん。
お社様、お怒りをお鎮めください。
なんてことなんてこと。お社様お社様。
これだからよそもなすっか。なんも考えんねえ。ガクガクもないんよ。さらんと。
あれすってれんこってなるね。バチ当たりどもんが。
The angry old men yelled even as they trembled in fear. Their sudden change scared me more than a little. Even Uncle Kimiyoshi, who was actually gentle and sweet, became like a demon of war, cursing those who broke the rule of the ritual storehouse. It had become like a raging ocean inside the assembly hall. Their yells spun about like a whirlpool. They roared, crashed, and howled. Even while doing nothing but watch, I could feel myself turning pale. Mion threatened me yesterday and Kasai had been in shock this morning. What I saw before me was similar to that. Even a sweet and gentle Uncle Kimiyoshi was saying they deserved to die. I was fearful of the sudden change in those elderly men. More than anything, the fact that they all believed that those people deserved to die for trespassing is what terrified me. It wasn't just that of course. The real thing I was scared of was that I was the one of the people they wanted dead. In other words, it was almost like they were telling me to die of the curse. If they were to find out I snuck into the ritual storehouse, it was very possible that they would strangle me on the spot. Actually, they might not kill me that easily. By then, I was certain the people in this room were true believers of Oyashiro-sama, just like the hag. They wouldn't hesitate to murder whoever made Oyashiro-sama angry on this behalf. Even if they didn't carry out the killing themselves. They would pretend they didn't see anything. Yes, not even if my head was cut off right in front of them. Everyone here would act in collusion and say I never attended today. If they all testified that they waited and I didn't show, I'd be demoned away. It would be far too easy for them to erase someone and have them disappear. There was no mistake. The people linking the hag and the curse were definitely here at this meeting. I continued speaking. I was Mion Sonozaki. I was on the side responsible for the curse. Therefore, at that moment, I didn't need to worry about anything. Nobody could tell the difference between Mion and me. That's what would keep me safe.
お静かにお願いします。
ほら。静かに静かに。
Uncle Kimiyoshi helped me to quiet everyone, but his tone was violent, so he really scared me. Everyone gradually became silent.
西宮殿に忍び込んだ賊は4人。あと2人います。
People once more became restless upon hearing that, but Uncle Kimiyoshi yelled at them again and they settled down.
富武さんと高野さんは分別のつくお年だったはずですからね。お社様のたたりが直ちに下りましたが、もう2人は子供です。まだたたりは免れていますが、何のけじめもなく許されることはありません。
Everyone stayed quiet that time. They had all turned genuinely pale, trying to not miss a word I said. After all, they were all thinking that the kids I mentioned could be their own relatives or even grandchildren. They wanted to know who they were to put their mind at ease.
その2人の老石者は、 園崎シオン。
Okay, she actually said that it was her.
そして前原圭一。
And Keiichi as well. I could feel the air getting drier. It was so dry, it almost felt like it was going to start making a crackling noise.
園崎シオンはすでに
I couldn't even hear the old people breathe. I took a peek at Uncle Kimiyoshi who was sitting next to me. He adored Shion as if she were his own granddaughter, but she had been demoned away. I wanted to see how distressed and sad he'd look. And when I saw his face, I felt a sensation on my back as if my skin itself was making a cracking noise. He didn't even have an expression on his face. Okay. Uncle Kimiyoshi adored me. I loved him and I thought he loved me too. That's why I expected him to be saddened after learning that I met with such a cruel fate. What was I thinking? The memory of his warm smile shattered inside of me. There was no way of describing the fear I experienced in that moment. In mere words, he had suddenly changed into someone I didn't even recognize. Uncle Kimiyoshi noticed me looking at him and spoke.
もう一人の前原圭一は
まだです。
I had to take a deep breath to regain my composure.
西宮殿を犯した4人、すべてにお社様はたたりを下されるでしょう。前原圭一も例外ではありませんよ。
Chilling looks, cruel looks, emotionless looks, shrewd looks, and the looks of people who were about to snap. I could feel the demons chewing my words while they stared at me with their sharp eyes. I could see some of them sticking their snake-like tongues in and out. I could see flames in some of their eyes. They were memorizing the names of the intruders the curse had yet fought to fall upon. And so the meeting went on. We were told not to tell the police too much, to report what they ask us, and to hold on or hold another meeting whenever something of significance happened. If something unexpected took place, we were to get in touch with either the head of the Kimiyoshi family or the head of the Sonozaki family for instructions on what to do. With those closing remarks, the meeting was over. It was already dark or getting dark outside. Being in a valley surrounded by mountains, once the sun went down in Himizawa, it got dark quickly. Even if it was hot during the day, it cooled down quickly at night. The elderly people said goodbye to each other and left on their bikes, on their motorcycles, or in their cars. Uncle Kimiyoshi waved them goodbye and started to head home himself. I called out to him. Here we go.
君吉さん、この後ご予定はありますか？
I called to him Kimiyoshi-san instead of Uncle Kimiyoshi. He stopped.
いや何もないよ。
うちへ寄ってもらえませんか？
お嬢さんが呼んでるのかい？
はい。直接会って話したいことがあるんだとか。
じゃあやるかな。
Uncle Kimiyoshi arrived at the Sonozaki house. He often came to the house to have secret meetings with the hag, so he wasn't suspicious at all. Okay, so Kimiyoshi actually went to the house. Okay. I invited Uncle Kimiyoshi into the living room. I served him a cup of tea and told him I was going to fetch the hag. I left the room and killed some time down the hallway.
ばっちゃ、着替えたから来るそうです。ちょっと時間かかるかもです。
いやいや。ゆっくり待ってるから。
Uncle Kimiyoshi relaxed as he sipped his cup of tea. I sat next to
多
him.
分、シオンの話じゃないかなと思います。
うん。
I mentioned my name and watched for his reaction. Uncle Kimiyoshi looked so grim. I couldn't even tell if he heard me. I decided to continue speaking until he reacted in some way.
シオンは去年がありますからね。北条家の人間なんかと懇意になるなんて。
去年は、爪を剥いで許してもらったんだったね。
ええ。3枚剥いで。
Uncle Kimiyoshi folded his arms and thought for a while.
シオンちゃんは今は
地下にいます。
様子はどうなんだい？
Uncle Kimiyoshi sounded worried. When I heard that, I felt relieved that Uncle Kimiyoshi was on my side. His anger in the assembly hall was just an act. We'll see.
ずっと泣いていますよ。
ミオンちゃん、率直なところ、おりょうさんはシオンちゃんのことをどうするって言ってるんだ？
具体的なことは聞いてません。ご存知と思いますけど、バッチャは怒りが度を超えると逆に無口になりますからね。
西宮殿に入ったんだもんな。しかも自分とこの身内がな。そりゃそうだろうな。
Uncle Kimiyoshi thought that the hag must be unsure of what to do with
お
Shion.
じいちゃんはシオンの処遇どうなると思います？
そりゃ爪3枚よりもっとむごいことになるだろうな。おりょうさんのことだから身内に甘くするってことはないと思う。むしろ身内だからこそ厳しく当たるだろうからな。
何しろ西宮殿に入ったんですものね。それは許されないことでしょうね。
さすがにな。西宮殿はな。
でもシオンもかわいそうかもしれません。だってずっとひなみ沢から遠ざけられてきたんです。西宮殿の不可侵性は知ってはいたでしょうが、そこまでいけないことだという認識は多分なかったんでしょうから。
確かにシオンちゃんは不憫だよな。
あたしかシオンか。背中の入れ墨を見る以外に私たちをどんな方法で区別できるというのですか？何もない。ミオンとシオンなんて区別自体が何の意味もないのに。
Twins are proof of bad luck. One should be eliminated as soon as they were born. Such is the family precept. The hag actually put her hands around my neck right after I came out of the womb. That's how the story went, at least. In the end, the hag didn't kill me, but instead pretended I didn't exist. She forced herself to call one of us Mion and the other Shion. She adored Mion and hated Shion. My sister and I never understood why we had to go through that. We didn't care who was Mion or Shion. So one day we came up with an idea. We decided to share the joy Mion experienced and the sadness Shion experienced. We often switched places. We were both Mion and at the same time we were both Shion. Adults around us tried to put different clothes on us or style our hair differently so they could tell us apart. That was nonsense. No matter what they did to us, all we had to do was switch places and nobody could tell us apart. Finally, they decided that we switched places because we were always together. On that day, Shion got to go to an amusement park. Since then, we've been separated.
ミオンちゃん、
私にはシオンがどういう処遇になるか想像もつきません。そしてどんなことに決まっても意見できる立場にありません。バッチャは身内であればむしろ意見を聞かない人ですし。
そうだな。お嬢さんの悪いところだよ。
シオンは園崎シオンでなければとっくに殺されていたことでしょう。死に準ずる罰が果たしてどのようなものか、私には想像もつきません。殺されなかったにしたって多分一生日の光を見ることはできないでしょう。つまりは鬼隠しということかと。
ミオンちゃん、シオンちゃんは反省してるんだろ？
ええ。
In response, Uncle Kimiyoshi tapped my shoulder and then slapped his own chest. He smiled reliably.
大丈夫。シオンちゃんがちゃんと反省してるなら鬼隠しなんかなるもんか。君吉のおじいちゃんに任せなさい。
本当に大丈夫なんですか？
そりゃあお嬢さんは私に意見されたら怒りはするだろうけどさ。でもおじいちゃんは引かないよ。シオンちゃんがしっかり反省してるんだから許してあげてほしいってちゃんと頼んでみせるから。
Tears began to fall from my eyes. I knew it. Uncle Kimiyoshi was my ally after all. He said he would forgive Shion. He was my ally. I was so very happy.
本当に大丈夫でしょうか？去年の北条聡くんみたいに鬼隠しになっちゃったりしないでしょうか？
Uncle Kimiyoshi smiled reliably again and told me.
罰当たりの北条家の坊主ならいざ知れず、園崎家のシオンちゃんならきっと許してもらえるって。
Okay, this is gonna be different now. The silence. Huh? She's gonna get angry because of this, because of what Kimiyoshi said.
北条家の坊主って聡くんのことですか？去年の犠牲者の。
北条の連中は仕方ないさ。村を丸ごと売ろうとした売国と同然の奴らだ。そういう奴らなら鬼隠しだってあり得るだろうけど、そりゃあ北条家だからの話だよ。
This is what triggered
北
Shion.
条家の連中は一族老頭みんな呪われて当然だ。鬼隠しに会うのはそういう連中なんだから。だからシオンちゃんは大丈夫。大丈夫なんだよ。
おじいちゃん。でも聡くんは去年シオンがけじめをつけたから見逃してもらえることになったんじゃないの？
けじめ？なんの？
ほら爪を3枚剥いだじゃないですか。葛西さん、吉郎おじさん、それから聡くんで3人分3枚。
3枚ってそういう意味だったのかい？
What?
3枚はそういう意味じゃなかったんですか？
いや、合ってるよ。関わった人間が3人だから3枚の爪でけじめとしたんだよ。そう私も聞いてるよ。でも葛西さん、吉郎さん、
And the third one is Shion.
それからシオンちゃんで3枚だと聞いてたよ。
Yes. Boom. She broke. Something broke again. What? Huh? I endured excruciating pain. The first one was my left pinky. And then the ring finger. And then the middle finger. People held me down so I couldn't move. But I endured. I had to endure 3 nails. I didn't know which nail was for Satoshi-kun. If my middle finger was for Satoshi-kun, I'd have to endure until the middle finger was done so that Satoshi-kun would be forgiven. That was why I endured. Even Mion said afterwards, everything was forgiven. Mion, didn't you say Satoshi-kun was forgiven? Didn't you? That's what I heard. Did she say it though? Like, did you say Satoshi-kun? She did say everyone is forgiven, right? I think that's what I heard. Or did I? Eh? Eh? I felt the air move. There shouldn't have been a breeze in the room, but I felt it anyway. The cool air stroked the back of my neck. That was when my true self stood right behind me and nodded. Although there was no wind, my hair billowed. The burning wickedness buried deep inside my eyes became visible.
どうして北条聡君は鬼隠しにあったのでしょう。聡君のご両親は確かに村を売ろうとしました。お社様のたたりがあったのは当然です。でも聡君はその両親の子供であっただけ。その聡君にどんな罪が？
ミオンちゃん？
聡君にどんな罪があったのかと尋ねています。あなたはさっき罰当たりな北条家の坊主なら鬼隠しにあっても当然と言いました。鬼隠しにあっても当然などんな罪があったのかと聞いているのです。
Miyoshi didn't know what to say. To the sudden question, he seemed dismayed.
聞かずともわかります。園崎お涼が決めたのです。お社様のたたりが及ぶのは北条の姓を持つすべての人間と決めたから。
待ってミオンちゃん。別にそういうことが決まってるわけじゃない。
決めたわけではないのですか？
そうだよ。そんなことを決めたことなんかない。北条家にはお社様のたたりがいずれ下る。そういう話をおぼろげにしたことはあっても、そんなにはっきりとしたことを言及したことは一度もないし、誰もしてないよ。
ではさっきあなたが口にした北条の坊主ならいざ知れずという言葉は何を根拠に出たものなのですか？
ごめんよミオンちゃん。あれは言い過ぎたよ。謝る。
そういうことです。北条家なら何があってもたたり。北条の名を冠していればどうなろうが知ったことではないというそういう考えが蔓延していることが問題なのです。サトシ君に罪があろうがなかろうが北条という姓があればそれで汚らわしい。そういう考えが蔓延していることが問題なのです。そしてあなたはその蔓延でいぶされた汚れた思考に汚染された迷信盲信。許せない。お前のような存在が許せない。お前のような奴がサトシ君たち一家を追い詰めてあんなにもすり減らしてサトシ君がかわいそう。本当にかわいそう。彼が何をしたの？何もしてない。何も言ってない。ただ北条であっただけ。それにどんな罪が罰がたたりが呪いがどうして降りかからねばならなかったのか。一体サトシ君に何の罪があったというのか。
Okay, let's see the text. I didn't click it. It just moved on its own. I think because there's a very, very long dialogue, yeah. Kimiyoshi's upper body bent backward and fell into the floor. That was that. I put my stun gun okay, she stun gunned him now. Kimiyoshi chose the wrong words to say and yeah, that was it. If he was much more careful in what he said, right, he would still be alive.
ごめん、シオン。今、なんて言った？
ゆうべ、高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。高野さんは焼死体で、富武さんは自殺みたいな感じで、今朝知ったんです。 お父さんが親類の人からの電話で話してるのを聞いて。
As I thought, Keiichi didn't know anything about what happened after the festival last night.
マスコミに報道されないのは当然なんです。過去にそうだったから。
Keiichi insisted that unless he heard about it on the news, it couldn't be real. But the investigation into the series of mysterious deaths are done in secret now. Of course he didn't hear it on the news.
村長とか、あと園崎家出身の金バッジが警察に思いっきり圧力をかけたんだって聞いてます。
じゃあつまり二人の死は秘密裏に処理されてしまったということか。
そういうことです。もちろん警察は捜査をしてますよ。でも秘匿捜査ということなので、捜査活動にはかなりの制限が加えられているそうです。これは事実上の捜査妨害と言えるでしょうね。
信じられない。人が死んだのにそれが公にされずひそやかに処理されるなんて。
もっと噛み砕いて言うと、綿流しの夜に誰が死んでも公にはならないということです。
そんなバカな話があってたまるか。
ケイちゃん、私以前にお社様のたたりは村人が起こしてるかもしれないって言いましたよね。つまりそういうことなんです。このひなみ沢では毎年綿流しの夜にお社様のたたりということにして誰かを殺してもいい土壌がいつの間にか作り上げられているんです。
Yes, that's the truth about the series of the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, also known as Oyashiro-sama's curse. On the day of the Tsunegashi, 2 people will be killed. The perpetrators are using the curse of Oyashiro-sama as an excuse to kill one victim and make another disappear. That's why the curse of Oyashiro-sama takes place. That's what happens in Hinamizawa, and that's what happens with the curse. What Kimiyoshi said is all true. Infecting everyone with the idea that the enemy from the dam conflict deserved to die was the root of all of this. That was a system of vague commands using the Sonozaki family created by its head, Oryo. One thing that must be mentioned about that command system is that the person giving orders and the one executing them didn't need to interact in any way. Though Oryo was a commander, she never gave actual orders. She only had to expect something to happen. Every single one of the family council members around her would want to satisfy the expectation if given the chance. They didn't have to be proactive about satisfying it. They could be passive too. But when the chance arose, anyone who knew Oryo's intentions could potentially become the one to execute her orders. Therefore, Oryo would never know who actually executed her order, and none of the relatives knew it either. But they all knew things would conclude just as Oryo as wanted, and they could assume it was one of their own who did it for her. This passive support system was thoroughly effective, and it spread all over the village. Its ties became even tighter after the dam conflict. Anyone could be the one to execute Oryo's orders. Therefore, everyone supported each other. If someone did something, then the other would try to satisfy Oryo's expectation in different ways. For example, they'd come up with false evidence or otherwise passively interfere with an investigation. Even if they didn't know exactly who they were protecting, they'd still work together to protect whoever it was. Yes. I had finally figured out how it all worked. Phrased in a more organized manner, it would go as follows. The system of killing 2 people who are unwanted by the village each year required 3 elements. The first element was a region of solidarity. It was created during the long, unique history of Hinamizawa. The villagers became even tighter during the dam conflict. That was one of the conditions for this place to have a curse. It was an element that was already in the region, not one that could be created. The next element was having the same moral standards. This was very important element as the curse wouldn't have happened without it. Also, this element was created by Oryo Sonozaki herself, and that's why she could claim that this system was established by her own will. Having the same moral standards means that everyone everywhere acknowledges the same enemy. Even when everyone in the village joined together, it would be meaningless if they all didn't know exactly who the enemy was. During the dam conflict, Oryo Sonozaki made the identity of the enemy very clear to everyone. They couldn't just say that they were against a dam construction and that the government was their enemy. That wasn't clear enough. The government didn't really pinpoint who the enemy was. But Oryo made enemies out of the construction site itself, and therefore its manager. She chose targets that the villagers could see with their own eyes. They were very clear and easy to understand. The villagers acknowledged that everyone at the dam construction site was their enemy and that the construction site manager was the enemy commander. Using the same method, she labeled one after another as the enemy of the village, practically cataloging a list of enemies to print into the villagers' mind. Earlier, I had used the term infecting for this phenomenon. Those infected by these ideas were the people unconsciously giving the orders to commit murder. When the infection spread across the village, when all of Hinamizawa's residents acknowledged the same enemy, that's when Hinamizawa itself became a murderer. Oryo combined those two elements, a solitary region and having the same moral standard. Then selected the enemy and spread the notion throughout the village. The law would normally have punished both the one who committed the crime and the one who gave the order. But Oryo's system didn't require an order at all. Oryo just had become concerned about the enemy she had pre-selected. But that alone wouldn't cause the curse to take place. Oryo's concern was likely a safety device, and even when the safety device was off, the curse wouldn't occur unless there was a finger to pull the trigger. The last necessary element was to set the date for execution. The night of the Watanagashi. The night to venerate Oyashiro-sama, the guardian deity of Hinamizawa. On that night, the curse of Oyashiro-sama falls upon two enemies of the village and they disappear. Everyone in the village acknowledged that as a fact. In other words, if the same incident took place on any other of the 364 nights of the year, it would be nothing other than a murder case. But if it had happened on the night of Watanagashi, then it would transform into the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The idea that the villagers are allowed to kill their enemies on the night of the Watanagashi had infected them. The villagers were the cells of this huge creature called Hinamizawa, and each cell would be taught who the enemy was. The set date was basically a green light for whoever was in the best position to kill the enemy. That was the truth of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Therefore, the one who actually killed Satoshi-kun isn't my enemy. The one who set up this murderous system and the one who named Satoshi-kun's family as the enemy is my enemy. To use a broader definition, Hinamizawa itself and the very system of the Oyashiro-sama's curse is my enemy. I already killed this hag, the one who designed the system. Himiyoshi, the one whose job it was to infect the villagers, but the system was already in my hands. I just had to find out who else was involved and how much. It was like pulling a weed while being very careful not to break its roots. I announced that Keiichi Maibara was one of the people who snuck into the shrine storage. I was certain that the fact that it had already been spread out through the underside of the village. In other words, Keiichi Maibara was an object of the curse of Oyashiro-sama now. Takano-san and Tomitake-san were found dead, having been killed in gruesome ways. That was the curse of Oyashiro-sama. In that case, they could demon away 2 more people as sacrifices to calm the anger of Oyashiro-sama. The set date for the curse was already over. But just like what happened to Satoshi-kun, demoning away was also allowed a little extra time. something would happen to Kiichi Maibara within a few days. I'd wait patiently, careful to not let my enemies simply take Kiichi Maibara by bait. Kiichi had been yelling on the other end of the phone for some time. He kept yelling that he didn't want to go into the ritual storehouse to begin with. He claimed he was simply invited by Takano-san and me. He shouldn't be in a danger because of that, he said. He was feeling a sense of crisis and tension. This was going to work. The livelier the bait, the easier it is to spot.
どうしてくれるんだよ。俺は全然関係ないんだぞ。どうすんだよ。どうすんだよ。どうやって責任を取ってくれるんだよ。おい、聞いて。
Shut up. I've heard enough of your pitiable tears. I hang up the phone. There was no point in talking to him when he got like that. Besides, I already achieved my goal, which is to make him realize the danger awaiting him. Dude, this is seriously... This is messed up, man. I took a deep breath, then called the house of the village chief.
はい、君吉です。
園崎です。どうです？村長さんは見つかりましたか？
ああ、ミオンちゃんか。片っ端から電話をかけてみたけど、ダメだよ。見つからないんだ。参ったな。どこで油を売ってるのかな。
こっちでも心当たりにいろいろと問い合わせましたけど、全然。バッチャにも相談したんですが、青年団を招集して探し回った方がいいだろうということです。
こんな時間にかい。それに別に行方不明になったと決まったわけでもないし。
綿流しの直後ですから、少し慎重に扱った方がいいとのことです。それでも見つからないなら、明朝を警察に通報しましょう。見つかる見つからないは別にして、痛くない腹を探られない方がいいでしょうから。
お涼さんがそう言ったのかい？
はい。直接声を聞かないと信用できないなら、電話先に出させますよ。
いえ、わかりました。青年団を集めて探しましょう。それで見つからなければ、翌朝に警察に通報します。
青年団の連絡もよろしくお願いしますね。私もバッチャの代行ということでそちらに参ります。
ありがとう。すぐにみんなを集めます。
ええ。では。
The youth group had gathered at the Furude shrine, so they were going to try to find the mayor. I also had to go in the absence of the hag. Just to be mean, I stopped by the underground torture room to let the mayor know that I was headed to Furude shrine to search for him. Shion, man. Incidentally, according to the tab on the keychain, this underground torture room was actually called the underground storehouse for ritual implements. This was the man who was yelling that whoever trespassed in the ritual storehouse should be killed. Although it was an underground ritual storehouse, he was there now atoning for what he'd done. It was pretty ironic. Maybe I was the only one who felt that way.
君吉のおじいちゃん、お具合はいかがですか？
Clink. Kimiyoshi didn't say a word, but he made a noise with the chain.
今ね、村中でおじいちゃんの姿が見えなくなったって大騒ぎしてますよ。おじいちゃんの家から相談が来たので、青年団を招集して捜索を行うことにしました。これから行ってくるところです。
Was this mean or what? Kimiyoshi could only make noise with a chain. He couldn't even express any emotion other than anguish.
鎖、少し長くしてあげましょうか？私の質問にちゃんと答えてくれるたびに、そうですね。鎖の輪っか1個分長くしてあげます。 あと3個も長くなればだいぶ楽になると思うんですけどね。
Kimiyoshi's hands were tied behind his back with a tight wire. He was wearing a leather collar with a chain, which is wrapped tightly around his neck too. The collar's chain was on a pulley attached to the ceiling, with the chain pulling him toward it. The chain was very short and pulled very tight. Kimiyoshi had to stand on tiptoes to be able to breathe. He had been like that for almost an hour already. He was already exhausted. If I left him overnight, he'd probably end up hanging himself.
さっきは知らないと言われましたけど、もう一回尋ねます。北条聡君について知っていることを教えてください。ああ、ごめんなさい。喋りたくても喋れません？じゃあ、私とおしゃべりの間だけちょっと緩めましょう。
I turned the pulley just a little to loosen the chain that was pulling on Kimiyoshi's neck. Kimiyoshi's heels finally touched the ground, relieving the pressure on his muscles.
知らないんだよ、シオンちゃん。本当に知らないんだ。
サトシ君が生きてるのか死んでるのか、それすらも。
おじいちゃんは本当に何も知らないんだよ。
ま、ひなみ沢のたたりのシステムはそういう部分で機密性を保持していますからね。おじいちゃんが知らないというのもありえなくはないことです。なら聞き方を変えます。サトシ君がどうなってるのか、君吉家当主の立場でご意見を伺いたいです。サトシ君は生きてる？死んでる？
Kimiyoshi didn't know what to say. If he said he didn't know, I'd tighten the chain and leave the room. That would be like a death sentence for him. But all I said was that I wanted him to speak as the head of the Kimiyoshi family. I didn't ask him to tell the truth, but he didn't know what to say to avoid souring my mood and get me to loosen the chains around him. He was obviously trying to figure out how to make me extend the chain.
生きてるんじゃないかって噂を聞いたことがある。
ああ、新幹線で東京にってやつですね。
警察が東京で姿を見たというようなのを聞いた覚えが。
Oishi had told me that Satoshi-kun had been witnessed getting on a bullet train heading to Tokyo at Nagoya Station. But the police didn't know if that really happened or what became of Satoshi-kun after that. Therefore, this was simply a random assertion of Kimiyoshi.
ねえ、君吉家の当主様？呪われた一族、北条家の人間をわざわざ失踪なんていう凝った消し方をしていて、わざわざ生かしておくのにどんな理由があるんです？ないんじゃないですか？それに、その東京で警察が見たという情報ソースを教えてください。私は大石と一時期連絡を密にしていましたが、そんなのは聞いたことないです。おじいちゃん、私の機嫌を取ろうとしていい加減なことを言ったなら、かえって怒っちゃいますよ。
I reached for the pulley controlling the chains around Kimiyoshi, and the act alone set him panicking as he feared them tightening once more.
ごめんよ。別にシオンちゃんを怒らせようなんてつもりはないんだよ。謝るよ。
私、ご機嫌取りの話なら聞きたくないんで。君吉のおじいちゃんにサトシ君のことを調べる協力をお願いしてるだけなんです。
わかってる。ちゃんと真面目に考えるから。
I took my hand off the pulley, seeing that Kimiyoshi began making loud groaning noises to try and show He was thinking hard, okay.
ズバリ、生きていると思いますか？死んでいると思いますか？
生きてると考えるのは難しいんじゃないかと思う。
ですよね。生かしておくことで伴う膨大なリスクを負う意味ないですもんね。私だって同感ですし。
I really didn't mean anything too deep by it, but what I said, it really scared Kimiyoshi.
警察はおば殺しの犯人がサトシくんで、サトコの誕生日プレゼントを買うために貯めてた貯金で逃亡したと、そう考えてました。この辺どう思います？
でもその犯人は確か麻薬中毒の危ないやつだと聞いたよ。
あれ、どう思います？私は私がこう言うのも変だけど、サトシくんがおば殺しの犯人だって信じてるんですよ。あいつは例えばばあさんあたりに買収されて仕立て上げられた身代わりじゃないかと思うんですけど。
それはおじいちゃんも思ってたよ。突然ひょっこりと真犯人でしたなんて言われて腑に落ちなかった。
やっぱり身代わり？
多分そうじゃないかと思うよ。
何のためにだと思います？
警察はサトシ君が犯人だと思って捜査を進めてたんだよね。サトシ君を鬼隠しということで失踪させておきたいと思うなら、警察の捜査がいつまでも続くのは面白くなかったんじゃないかな。
When Kimiyoshi just said is very, very interesting. He's perfectly correct. If the police continued their investigation, it would complicate things for whoever demon the way Satoshi could. Therefore, the hag came up with a decoy in order to bring an end to the investigation.
でも、そんな犯人のでっち上げなんてそうそう簡単にできることじゃないですよ。
お嬢さん以外にはできないよ。そんなことは。
ばあさんが裏の世界で相当の力を持ってるというのは私も知ってはいますけど、そんなにもあったんですね。
シオンちゃんだっていろいろとダム戦争の頃から噂は聞いてるだろうし、中には実際に直接聞いたものもあるんじゃないかい。
During the dam protests, I actually saw them issuing orders to my relatives. Like destroy their heavy machinery, or can we set up a checkpoint to blockade their construction vehicles? They set free their comrades from the police by coming up with alibis, destroying or forging evidence. I had seen relatives do those things, as well as the hag calling in counselors to the house to protest. As a child, I was pretty impressed. But when I thought back, it was more than that. She was truly the mastermind who controlled the underside of the world.
シオンちゃんだって建設省の幹部の息子というか建設大臣の孫だな。あれの誘拐事件の話は知ってるだろ
う。あれってやっぱ誘拐だったんですか？孫が鬼隠しになって高津戸だか矢河内だかの山奥で見つかったって話は知ってたんですけどね。
あれはお嬢さんの指図によるものだよ。
Okay.
ダム工事の中止の約束が取り付けられたんで、孫を釈放したっていうのは、おじいちゃんたち旧同盟の幹部ならみんな知ってる。
So yeah, pretty much another confirmation, I suppose. On when we did chapter 4, I just assumed, that it was Oreo, like based on the talkings there. It was, but here, basically Kimiyoshi said that, yes, that was at Oreo's command.
身近にいすぎて私がよく分かってなかっただけで、やっぱりばあさんとか御三家とか旧同盟って大したもんだったんですね。
Because remember on chapter 4, right, Oreo kind of felt bad for the kid, right, for something like that. Yes.
怖 い怖い。
Kimiyoshi finally realized the situation he was in, and he was answering my questions. That made me happy, but the more Kimiyoshi told me the truth, the more I realized Satoshi-kun really was dead. That made me very sad.
サトシ君を鬼隠しにした実行犯は誰だと思います？
わからないよ。それに誰が実際にやったかは問わないのが不分律だったから。
He was right. That was how the system worked. And so, that was a bad question.
誰がやったにせよ大したものですよね。だって人を殺して死体も出てこないなんて結構簡単なことじゃないんじゃないですか？
誰が殺したかは別にして、例えば死体の処理をお嬢さんが手伝ったという可能性は考えられるよ。今いるここの奥に死体を捨てるための井戸があることは知ってるだろ？
ああ、確かに。どこかの山中に埋めるくらいならここの井戸に捨てる方が絶対に安全ですもんね。
Whoever disappears becomes a sacrifice to calm the anger of Oyashiro-sama. That was the rule of this game. Therefore, the bodies must never be discovered. That's why the bodies had to be dumped somewhere nobody could find them. It's very possible that the well was used for that. Then Satoshi-kun is at the bottom of that well? I grabbed the flashlight and headed to the huge cave with all the cells. As I turned on the lights in the cave, Mion noticed me and gave me a worried look. I ignored her and headed to the cell in the back. I was still very impressed by how the well was hidden. It is almost artistic. I shone the flashlight to the bottom of the well. I had no way of knowing how deep the well was, so the light of the flashlight wasn't strong enough to reach the bottom. I mean, you have a ladder there, so how about you go down? I inhaled and then screamed into the well.
サトシ君。サトシ君！
Dude, if he was there, he's dead by now. Satoshi-kun's name echoed again and again. It was obviously a very deep well. I thought of climbing down using the wedges on the wall. But with the flashlight hanging from my neck, I couldn't light my footing properly. And even if there was enough lighting, I didn't even know if the wedges were sturdy enough. It would be like committing suicide. So Satoshi-kun was at the bottom of this well. That's when I felt it. A warm hand rubbed my head for sure. Shion, you finally found me. Satoshi-kun. I've been looking for you for so long. I'm sorry I couldn't find you while you were still alive. I'm sorry. It is not your fault, Shion. There was nothing you could have done before I was killed. But you did everything you could do after I was dead. Satoshi-kun, I want to join you. I'm coming right now. I'm going to jump, so please catch me. Satoshi-kun smiled bitterly. I was saddened to see him reject me. Shion, I'm happy that you found me. But you're alive, Shion. It's so important to be alive, you can't waste it. If you aren't here, I don't want to live. I want to be with you, Satoshi-kun. I want to be close to you. I want you to rub my head again. I want to spend time with you. I'll be a good girl. I want to be with you. Live. Do I have to? Live and enjoy your life, okay? What's so fun about living alone? You'll find out. So long as you're alive.
生きる。生きるよ。生きる。
The eerie well now felt warm. I wasn't allowed to go down to the bottom, but the edge of this well was the place where you and I could meet. Okay, why is she gonna jump down?
ミオン。サトシ君。見つけた。 井戸の底なんだね。そうだと思う。
I think there's no confirmation. She's just assuming this is.
そこしかないもん。
Mion started to sob.
ミオンはサトシ君が殺されるところには居合わせなかったんだよね。うん。もし居合わせたらサトシ君を許してもらえるようばあさんに意見してくれたかな。絶対にする。せめて命だけはって絶対に言うよ。嘘だ。え？嘘だー
Even if she was there when Satoshi-kun was killed, she wouldn't have stopped being the successor. Satoshi-kun was brought to the torture room. When he saw Mion, I'm sure he thought she would save him. Even as he heard the family head read out his death sentence, I'm sure he looked at Mion and believed that she would save him. He believed Mion was acting that way only because she was with her relatives. He believed that she would help him, but she didn't do anything. He was trapped to a restraining device, yet she still wouldn't do anything. Mion was cruel. Mion? Isn't it about time you help me? I see. I get it. You're with the rest of the family, so you can't show even a hint of compassion. That sucks.
助けろ助けろ。なんで助けないの。サトシ君の助けを懇願する眼差しを見てどうして心を動かされなかったの。あんたはサトシ君が意地悪オーバーのせいで追い詰められていた時から何も救いを差し伸べなかった。あんたは同情する素振りを見せるだけで助けなかった。見殺した。あんたがサトシ君を助けなかったから追い詰められたんだ。私は救おうと頑張ったよ。彼の心の支えになろうと頑張った。あんたらがサトシ君のおば殺しをかばわなくても私は彼のアリバイのために自らを投げ打って戦った。その結果が爪3枚なんて安いもんでしょ。でもね、それだけの努力じゃサトシ君を救うには全然足りなかった。届かなかった。どうしてか。だって私はシオンだったんだもん。シオンはひなみ沢から遠ざけられていて何からも戸ざまで何も教えられなくて知れなくて。でもあんたは違う。あんたはミオンだった。あんたはひなみ沢のうちにいて全ての中心で全てを教えられて全てを知ることができた。私があんただったらきっとサトシ君を救えた。私なら救ってあげられた。あんたがミオンになったからだ。返してミオン。もともとミオンはあんただけのもんじゃない。私のものでもあったはず。それにもともとミオンは私のじゃない。私があんたに貸してあげるようになっただけで本当は私のだったじゃない。返せ。私のミオンを返せ。
Okay, let me see again. What's she saying? Okay, let me understand again. Okay. You were Mion, you were right in the middle of everything, and you knew everything, and everything told you everything. If I were you, I could have helped Satoshi-kun. But you were Mion. Give it back, Mion. The name isn't just yours, it's mine too. Besides, it was mine to begin with, remember? I just let you be Mion, remember? It was mine, so give it... What?
お前がミオンの外見をしているだけでもブシズが走る。お前じゃなく私がミオンだったら、
I kicked the bars. I kicked them again and again. Mion curled up fearfully in the back of the cell, as if she was trying to prevent the bars from crashing down onto her. But still, she's saying that she was originally Mion? That, yeah, they said that she was saying that her and Mion keep swapping places when they were kids, right? So she was actually Mion? Okay, let's look at the steps first. Maybe they say something here. After that, I joined the youth group in search for Kimiyoshi, okay? I went down the town council's phone directory and called to see if he had visited. Then he had the group split according to the circular notice divisions and sent them to search the town. Everybody seemed to be assuming they wouldn't find him, but since I knew they definitely never would, it was just bothersome to me. Even after midnight, they were still enthusiastically looking for him. I bore the sleepiness while yawning. Then I heard somebody whisper. Last year, we did the same thing with Satoshi Hojo-kun went missing. The youth group... Sorry. The youth group was looking for someone who would never be found, just like last year. I was yawning because of this. Last year, there also must have been some people who were yawning and grinning on the inside.
去年の捜索って何時に終わりましたっけ？
あ？北条んとこのサトシん時かい？ありゃ何時だったっけ？
午前の0時過ぎくらいには解散したような気がするな。
It was already 2 in the morning. Although they spent this much time searching for Kimiyoshi, they didn't do the same when Satoshi-kun went missing. After all, some people knew they wouldn't find him. They must have been sleepy. They must have said they should leave it to the police. I want to kill the people who said that. Okay. So yeah. Dude, this episode, man. Damn. So for Kimiyoshi, he cared for Shion, right? It just, yeah, the words he said there, it pretty much sealed his fate, I suppose, right? Like, even though Shion says that, oh, Uncle Kimiyoshi is on my side, he's my ally. And when Kimiyoshi said that, the Hojo brat, Satoshi, etc. and stuff like that, right? She snapped again, and then, yeah, she stun gunned him. Like, for example, if even Kasai said that, I guess Shion would still will do the same, right? Because how madly in love she is with Satoshi. But that ending part there, right? She did say that I just gave you the name Mion, right? So maybe when they were kids, they kept swapping, right? And then so she was really Mion, and then the other one, the imprisoned one, is actually Shion, right? When they were kids, and then they swapped. I guess, yeah, the one with the tattoo is Mion, right? So I guess the one that they gave the tattoo one when they were little kids was Shion, and then when they gave the tattoo, it pretty much sealed it. She was gonna be Mion forever, right? So yeah, they swapped permanently after that, I suppose, right? That's why she was screaming like that at the ending. But maybe we're gonna see more of the conversations there. Maybe they're gonna expand more to this, because yeah, Shion didn't, or Mion didn't really respond, right? She was terrified there. But yeah, that's very interesting though, that last part there. That was nice. That was really good, honestly. I didn't expect that. Yes, I didn't expect that. So yes, we're gonna continue this and do more of Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 5, Meakashi, in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.